What's going on out there? I just tangled with half a freaking battalion of Nazis.
It seems there's some little gangster in town. Calls himself the Dark Dawn.
War is hell unless you're Vinnie Cannoli and you turn every problem into a cynical joke, only to double jump and shotgun your attacker in the face. Hi guys, welcome back to SwitchUp. I'm delighted to bring you guys our review of Guns, Gore and Cannoli 2, a side-scrolling run and gun, allowing you to move back and forward freely. Have developer Crazy Monkey Studios given us the sequel we all wanted, or is this a bridge too far? Shut up at your face, let's find out. The game begins where the first left off and unsurprisingly sees you reprise the role of Vinnie Cannoli, but then it also continues 15 years later. This time around he's being pursued by a sinister gangster and things from his past that he seems unable to escape. What this means for story is a totally over-the-top and delightful romp across several explicit and some implicitly told stories, such as being part of the Allied assault. It plays out like a best of 80s action movies compilation, all rolled into one game. Arnie and Stallone could have easily been the lead role here, with enough cheesy one-liners to keep any action fan happy. The story is predictable at times, but mostly in that I really hope this happens, yes it happened kind of a way, usually with brutally satisfying consequences. Story scores 15 out of 20. The game controls exactly like a twin-stick shooter, with the right stick controlling your aim and the left movement. At first this seems a little strange as you need both sticks to turn around and spend a couple of early moments doing a gangster's take on the moonwalk. Within a minute or so it feels responsive and just right. You jump with the press of a trigger button and thankfully can double jump as well. This single choice makes the combat much more responsive, as after a jump you can use it to quickly react and dodge bullets. When on terra firma you can hold down to duck behind cover. This means you can string together some skillful shooting, dodging and countering that makes the gameplay feel far more enjoyable and less mindless. Although a side-scrolling shooter, it's nice to see a more Contra approach, allowing you to move back and forward mostly freely. There are obviously hidden checkpoints in the form of drop-down ledges or other explosions behind you. That means you cannot return, but in gameplay terms it means a tactical retreat and regroup is usually achievable to allow a counter-attack. There are a ton of weapons selectable with the radial menu or by pressing X. These range from chainsaws, which are suitably devastating up close, to the classic Tommy gun. My personal favourite is the ever faithful shotgun, which will send enemies flying through doors and other scenery in an incredibly satisfying ballet of death. The action can seem a little too hectic at times. Thankfully the developer have made a simple, elegant solution to aid character tracking. Each of them has a different coloured laser sight. Very simple but effective. There are a number of different enemy types in the game, from your big standard henchmen and Nazis to screaming zombies. I mentioned to Glenn as well as we played how good their pathfinding was. Enemies will doggedly pursue you, crawling through tunnels, jumping down tricky sequences to chase you down. This is notable when so many games lack the AI to effectively pursue you and can be easily cheesed by the player. There are arena style sections where the player becomes locked in, so to speak, while an invisible timer, usually in the form of a TNT fuse, slowly counts down while you desperately struggle to survive. There are a limited number of health packs available at the time, so being careful not to accidentally grab one when you don't need it is key. In co-op, the death of one of you means a short period where the other must survive before the downed man can respawn. I preferred this to a solely lives-based affair, as it's always annoying when your partner loses all of them when you're barely taking any damage. There are 4 genuinely fun boss battles in the game, and while I was expecting maybe a few more, It feels like they went for the less is more approach. The final boss in particular is a tough multi-section affair, but defeating any of them makes you feel truly badass. My biggest complaint with the game is when it feels like there are just too many enemies on screen. It begins to lose the nuanced feel of the rest of the game, and it just hurts your brain and may seriously give you a migraine, as Glenn unfortunately discovered. For the most part, the balance feels great and the controls do combat justice. All isn't perfect, as we'll see in the next few sections, but gameplay is very slick and scores 17 out of 20. And those tight controls score 19 out of 20. The game has an almost cut-out style, very reminiscent to Flash animation. Anyone familiar with this will see the characters seem to be animated puppets, using a bone tool or similar. It's a certain style, and here it's used as well as it can be. Some of the animations are mapped really well. The idling ones, where a character is waiting and he's perusing a filthy magazine or eating a tasty slice of pizza, added a little sparkle to proceedings. The environments have several destructible elements which can impact gameplay as you send enemies flying by shooting barrels or dropping heavy items onto hapless foes. Explosions are the impactful and chunky type. And bullets will be flying in all directions. All's not perfect, however. The game does stutter at times under the sheer weight of on-screen numbers. It's not unplayable by any means, and it remains moderately smooth, but these small micro stutters can make you feel a little nauseated after extended play. I'm hoping some more optimization will smooth things out. Either way, for the most part, graphics and performance are solid. Graphics score 17 out of 20. The majority of your audio experience will be punctuated with the death cries of 100 at the business end of your weapons. The music thankfully improves as the game goes on. The earlier songs were appropriate but uninspired. Epic levels like the Normandy landing were much more impactful. Voice acting is suitably hammy and dialogue painfully entertaining. The overall audio package is good. I would have liked to see a little more in the way of HD Rumble implementation, as this is one of the ways for developers to make the Switch version stand out from the crowd. Audio scores 15 out of 20. The game retails at $12.99, and I couldn't find a price for the UK release just yet. The main story will take around 3 hours to blast through, or for completionists around 5.5 to find all of the secrets. For this style of game, that's just about right. I wish they'd added a survival mode to the Switch version, and the online multiplayer works really well. It's a completely different experience with a friend, working together to draw enemies and going for your devastating headshots to show off the skills that you have, while double jumping, shooting a vehicle out, landing and saying, "What were you worried about?" This is an excellent game, and one whose value will be tied to the type of player. Overall, value scores 14 out of 20. A solid effort, but lacking in those long-term hooks. Make no bones about it, this is the sequel we wanted for the first game. The combat is excellent, very tight indeed, and feels wonderful to play. There's a good variety of weapons, boss battles that are fun and engaging, and the co-op and online co-op make a massive difference to the overall experience. It scores a SwitchUp score of 82%. Thanks so much for everyone who watches our videos, leaves a comment down below, and just enjoys the effort that we put in. If you're new to the channel, take a look around. If you enjoy what you see, then be sure to subscribe. For all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya!